guys, and welcome to the vlog where I'll finally be giving you a combined haul of every single book I bought in the year 2025 this year, because I have all of them stacked in front of me. There's quite a few, and so let's just jump right in and lock in because it's gonna be quite the long one, I think. So now for context, I got back into reading in the year of 2023. I would say 22 towards the end, but it really just started fully in 23 because I saw my first booktube video I think in December of 22, and then dove in right after that, but then truly just locked in with actually reading those books during 23. But then also I was still figuring out my tastes as a reader at that point, because listen, I hadn't read anything since middle school then. So 23 I feel like was kind of like an experimental year where I was just reading whatever came my way. I feel like I truly just locked in last year, and so along with reading and actually understanding my taste at that point, I was buying a bunch of books that I saw mentioned to be like some good ones, or scrolling and found them interesting enough. But I feel like when you're on the internet and you kind of see all these other people doing all these other fun things, you kind of get caught up in all of that, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not faulting anyone. It's just for me personally, 24 was an excessive year in terms of buying a lot of books, because I think I bought maybe 40 or 50. Is it bad that I don't even remember? Added all of them to my TBR, and it would be fine considering the fact that I read a lot of books this year already. I think I'm at 238 so far. I'm trying to hit 250 by the end of the year, and so I can definitely get through the books that I'm buying. It's just for me specifically, I'd say about 97% of the books I buy, if the math is correct, I read and I consumed in the form of a Kindle ebook or an audiobook. So usually physical books, I feel like if I'm buying them, they just get added to my TBR and there's no guarantee on when I'll get to them, because I feel like I'm a much faster reader and I genuinely just enjoy the mediums of Kindle and audiobook more than a physical book. And so looking back, 24 I feel like again was quite the experimental year, because I was just trying to figure out my own reading taste and what kind of books would go into that, and then actually learning the fact that I don't like reading physical books the way I used to in middle school anymore. And so going into 2025, one of my biggest goals was to kind of limit the excessive book buying, because I still feel like even though I can get through the 50-60 odd books I buy, it is kind of a lot, and especially for one person only, me, I thought it was too much. So this year I kind of placed a book buying ban on myself, wherein I decided that I'd only buy the books that I genuinely wanted to get to sooner, or that I'd already read and just wanted as a physical trophy on my shelf, which is why the haul is much smaller than the one you saw in last year's vlog, because last year, I'm just saying it outright, it was a little too much, and looking back, it's kind of funny. It's not, but then at the same time, I'm not faulting myself because this is still one of my favorite hobbies ever. It's just now going into this vlog, I feel so much better about myself because I haven't overdone it this year. And so looking at the stack I have in front of me already, it's so much more manageable. I didn't spend half an hour gathering all these books to kind of show them to you, and they're all books I genuinely cherish and enjoy because of the fact that I was being very selective in my book buying process this year, wherein I wasn't buying books and making that a hobby in itself. I was very much just being thoughtful about the ones I actually wanted physical copies of, and that's why this haul looks the way it is. But now let's jump in. I won't be giving you summaries about the actual books I bought, but I kind of want to document this as the process of the book buying, so why I bought it and my thoughts behind it and when I bought it, because I feel like every time I buy a book, it kind of tells a story of when and where I got it, and then every time I look at that book, I also remember that kind of story behind it, and so that's what I'm sharing today. But now let's jump in. First book I bought this year and kind of broke my book buying ban of this year with was towards the end of January, I believe, which is so much better than last year, because I believe last year I made the goal of not buying a lot of books in 24, and then I broke it the very next day on Jan the 2nd. So that's so much better. But then this year, I think towards the end of Jan, when I was reading Fourth Wing for the first time, buddy reading with my cousin, at that point I was really just invested in the series to see where it went out, and so I do believe the third book of the series came out at that point. And because in my country we had these really cool edges, I ended up getting Onyx Storm as my first book of this year. Again, it's really cool because I have the fun edges. I also have them on Iron Flame, the second book in the series, and so I kind of wanted to match and keep it in my collection. I haven't gotten to this at this point. It was still the time of the year wherein I hadn't really truly decided the fact that I just wanted to buy books I've already read and kind of store for myself for one day in the future again, which is why I got this. But I'm not faulting myself, because listen, I got edges. I think there's a cool inner cover photo or something like that. Look at that. You cannot beat this, and they don't sell this anymore in the market. So I got lucky with my purchase. I'm gonna get to the series very soon in the new year because I enjoyed the first one in the series so much that I read it a couple times already, and I think about this a lot. So it's coming soon. It won't be a one that stays on my TBR for too long because I'll be done reading it in no time and then we can gush about it. But yeah, this is the first book I added to my collection and I'm really proud. I don't feel bad about it because again, in comparison, in 24 when I bought my first book on the second day of the year, already broke my buying then, I felt so guilty. But here I actually truly feel happy about my purchase, and I think that's the whole point. You don't have to satisfy yourself in a way that you're trying to please yourself and everyone else around you. It's only for you specifically, and this made me feel that way. So here we are. Then after this, I didn't buy a lot of books for I think a couple months easy or something like that. I think directly now jumping into the month of March or something like that, when I was reading the Chestnut Springs series, is when I decided I would cave again, and I got a second copy of the book Flawless because I wanted to annotate and kind of gift it. However, I still haven't gotten around to that, so it's not bad considering I already have my own copy. This is actually for someone else, and it's probably going to be gone at some point anyway when I get around to annotating. But until then, I have an extra copy of Flawless to get to at some point because I've already read the book. It's not on an immediate basis, but I'll go back one day, I'll go and annotate it, and it'll be off my TBR at that point, so I don't feel too bad about this one. The same haul because I was reading Chestnut Springs at that point, and I feel like the third book in Elsie Silver's other series, Rose Hill, was coming out. I ended up getting the first two books in it because Rose Hill, the third one, I think it's Wild Side or something like that, wasn't out at that point, and then I never went back to buy it. But essentially I have a copy of Wild Love, the first one in the series, and Wild Eyes, the second one. At this point, because the entire series is complete, I do believe the fourth book is out at this point too. I have gone back and looked at people's reviews, and even though I said I wouldn't want to buy books based off reviews anymore before I actually go and make my own opinion on them, I'm kind of happy I only stopped at buying these two, simply because I haven't heard so great things about the third and the fourth books. I do believe these are people's favorites as well, and if it's a people's favorite, I'm probably going to believe them because everyone was correct about Chestnut Springs and the correct good ones in them. I feel the same way about those ones too, so I'm happy I have these on my TBR because I know I'm gonna love them, especially the cameos we got of the characters in this towards the end of Chestnut Springs and Hopeless, and then this one because I've seen great quotes and I've heard great things online. So happy I got these, but I don't really know much of what it's about. It's just maybe next year I'll lock in like I did for Chestnut Springs and kind of binge these with y'all before she comes out with her new series. I think it's called Emerald something, and it does follow characters from Chestnut Springs, so I have to get that on my Kindle the day it comes out. And so to lock in, to get background context on that one specifically, I'll be reading these at some point in the new year. And so again, I don't feel bad about them because they'll be off my TBR in no time or whatever, considering it's Elsie. She's one of my favorite authors ever. I binge through her books. If I start this, even though it's a physical book and I don't like reading physicals, I will be done in probably a day or two, considering how much I enjoy reading her books and how addicted I get to them once I start. And I feel like what's cool is that once you line these books up, the mountains on the sign or whatever, they kind of match up too. So I thought that was really cute. And maybe if I end up liking the third and fourth books, because now at this point I'm trying to be more conscious about my purchasing, I will go ahead and buy copies of those so we can have the whole mountain line up. But if we don't, I don't mind either way. We have the first two anyway, and that's a good start into the series already. The next book I got was a physical copy of the Book of Doors, because this book I actually read last year. It was my last 5-star of the year, and at that point in the year I was craving a reread so bad. I didn't end up caving in and doing it, but I did want this book anyway on my shelf because I feel like this is gonna be one I go back and reread at some point every single year over the years as I grow up, because it's a story that stuck with me. I had the best time reading it for the first time, and I recommend it to literally everyone because it's so good. At this point I've made 3 other people I know also get copies and read it, and they've also enjoyed it. So I feel like all great things heard all around for this one because it's so good. I binged it in a couple days the first time I read it and had the best time ever because the story is interesting, the premise is interesting, the whole situation with everything that's going down is great, and I feel like the twists in this book, there's always something happening, so you're on the edge of your seat. And I needed a physical because listen, you cannot fault me for wanting one of my god tier books on my actual physical shelf, and it's great. And I ended up getting the hardcover too because at that point the paperback wasn't available. It is now, and I kind of do regret it, but at the same time I think this cover looks cuter than the paperback that's available in my country, so I'm happy with it anyway because they don't sell this anymore. They have only paperbacks out now, and I have a copy, so it's great. It's a little shiny and cute too, and I love it. So this is my next purchase. Again, since I've already read it, it doesn't add to my TBR, which is the best feeling ever, and here we are. Now for my next stack of books, I ended up getting a physical copy of Book Lovers because I do believe it was the week I was reading Emily Henry's backlist or whatever, and I had all of her other books. This was the only one I was missing, and to kind of complete my set at that point, I got this. I do believe I read only like 3 books or something in that video, and I still have to go back and do a part 2 of the video wherein I read the rest of her backlist, and that'll be coming soon, do not worry, because she's like my favorite author, like literally ever. And listen, you cannot fault me. And while this technically isn't 5 stars looking back, in the moment I did give it 5 stars or whatever because I was obsessed, but you know, time and perspective changes things. I'm still happy I got a copy because at this point, number 1, I've already read it, it doesn't add to my TBR, and number 2, regardless of the fact that it's not 5 stars, that doesn't mean it's not a good book. It is one of my favorites, obviously, of this year to come out of it, and I'm happy I read it, and I'm happy I have a copy because this is again something I foresee myself rereading at some point in the future. And even though I said I don't like physical books, I really love rereading when I'm reading on a physical book for some reason. I don't know why, it just hits different, which is why I have a copy ready for the future sometime. I've already reread it a second time this year, in July I think, so I'm already getting my money's worth out of this, and I'm happy with it. So here we are. It is a little damaged though, but I don't really care because I feel like it adds to character, and also because I'm not trying to spoil the environment by sending a book that's only fractionally damaged or whatever back. But that is my next book. After this, at the bookstore, I do believe I ended up getting this one, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This one I think I got later in the year, but I put it at this point in the sequence because I had read it and it was like a 5-star book and I loved every second. And already I'm planning a reread and craving one because this is so good. The romance in it is great. I feel like Abby Jimenez's writing style is perfect for creating these characters that make you believe in soulmates and like matches made in heaven. And the way this book made me feel, I felt literally everything. I was crying, I was happy for these characters, I was giggling so hard, blushing and swooning, kicking my feet, feeling all the rom-com-y vibes you're actually supposed to feel. This felt like a 2000s rom-com. It was great. It had emotional depth, and the man in it has like a baby goat, I believe, who wears pajamas. I think that's the one. And that's so cute because like, how can you not love someone who has a little baby goat in pajamas? You'd be crazy not to. And so got my copy. I'm so happy I did. Again, I feel like her characters are so emotionally mature and their stories are so profound and great that needed my copy because she's also slowly and surely becoming one of my favorite authors to come out of 2025 for me. And so I'm happy I have it. Happy I read this and connected to it in every way possible because it was funny, but it was sweet and it was wholesome and heartwarming and one of the best books I ever read. So obviously needed to get my copy. Next up, I do believe when I was on vacation, I think in the month of May or whatever, we had gone to my mom's brother's place like we do every summer, to the beach house. My uncle actually, he ended up getting me a copy of You Deserve Each Other because at that point I started my reread of this because I read this for the first time back in 23. But that was also the year I was figuring out my reading tastes, and while I didn't necessarily originally enjoy it a lot, I feel like looking back, I really wanted to reread simply to kind of feel the feelings again because I was remembering specific scenes and stuff and just wanted to go back and, I don't know, experience it again, I guess. And because I read it also for the first time while I was over there, I figured might as well cave in and do it. And I'm so happy I did because this is, looking back, a 6-star read. I don't know what I was on in 23 that I didn't like it because this is perfect to me. It's second chance, so it's like my favorite romance trope ever. The characters in this, the couple, they're so cute together once they actually start falling back in love because at this point, they're in a relationship to be married but they hate each other, so they're like playing pranks on each other, so the other one calls off the wedding because they don't want to be the one who does that and then foot the bill and also people's like public outrage. And I feel like it's so funny and it's so sweet. And the girl in this, Naomi, she is such a badass, especially when it comes to insulting his parents, because like there's nothing like it. I was giggling, swooning so hard, and it's so funny too. So you cannot go wrong with this because like it's perfect, and it's perfect for this time of the year too. I mentioned it in my winter recs and stuff because like it's set during like winter time or whatever, and I do believe they're in like a little cabin or whatever. It's like snowing and her favorite time of the year is Christmas, so like this is perfect. I can't wait to go back and read it because already since I got the copy, I have read it twice this year, so that's like my 3rd time reading, and maybe I'll pull in like a 4th or whatever by the end of this year once I'm done recording all these bookmas videos and stuff. So listen, again, a great book to add to my TBR, not necessarily in the reading sense, but in the physical, in my shelf sense, because I'd love to go back and look back on it over the years and stuff, and maybe at some point when I grow the guts and whatnot, go ahead and actually annotate, because that would be cool too. Now next up, I have a couple books that I have not read yet, and they are on my TBR, added to my TBR because I wanted to read them. I caved at that point and I haven't read them yet. So the first one I have is called the Vows. My little sister actually bought this for my birthday, which I think is so sweet because I've been seeing like a lot of booktubers. I think everyone I saw online so far at least has read this book and given it 5 stars, and it's also second chance, and it's got wedding setting, which I love the marriage of convenience trope. But then more than that, sometimes I feel like I love when rom-coms are set during weddings. So like the characters are actually side characters in someone else's story, and the someone else is getting married and they are falling in love in the background, and I feel like that just atmosphere and all the vibes that come with it to me are so perfect, and I feel like this encapsulates everything, and the cover is cute. So at that point in the year, while I was trying not to buy books that I haven't already read or whatever, that I just wanted physical copies of, I haven't read this yet. I haven't gone back to pick it up because it's not summertime like the cover feels or whatever yet, but I've heard great things, and I have this on my TBR to get to at some point in the future, maybe next year, because again, I've heard such amazing quotes, such amazing scenes from this that I want to go and experience for myself and see if the hype online is real. And so I have my copy. I'll get to it hopefully soon, and I'm so happy I have this now too, because again, even though I didn't read it on Kindle and audiobook, keep in mind I'm just a human. I will cave at some point. I'm not a robot that I'll keep going according to like set principles, and I feel like my life is not supposed to be guided by a bunch of rules I set for myself anyway. And so even if I cave once in a while, it's not the end of the world, and I'm happy I have this, because even if I don't like it, it's a cute cover to keep on my shelf to look back on, and my sister bought it for me, so I'm never gonna get rid of this anyway, and it's kind of perfect, and I have this. Next up, the other book my little sister bought for me for my birthday is called The Nightingale. This one, again, I've heard great things about, and I wanted 25 to be the year that I tried out Kristen Hanna as an author for the first time. But that did not end up happening because again, I feel like I saddled myself with a little too much this year, and then at some points, because I did end up reading a bunch of like heavy and sad books, I didn't want to get into more, and so I will definitely get into this at some point, maybe next year. It definitely intimidates me, but I'm excited to try her because I feel like I've heard only good things, and again, everyone I've seen online gives this 5 stars, so what is the hype about? And also I've heard it has great themes in it and whatnot to look back on, and so if this is a book that sticks with me, it'll be good to have it for the future on my TBR anyway. And so even though I haven't consumed it yet in the form of Kindle and audiobook, it's fine because I have a copy to get to at some point in the future. It's kind of like the argument wherein when you buy a new house and you're getting settled in and you're like buying cutlery and stuff for the house, you will buy a bunch of forks and spoons even if you're only one person living there and you're not expected to use all of them. You will keep them as spares for the future or like when you have guests over. So I feel like the same concept applies to books because like I always have them as backup in case I ever need them to go back to, and I will at some point, and so it'll be waiting for me and it'll stay until I do that. But I have this next up and I thought the spine was really cute, just wanted to show that. But yeah, this is the next book. The third and final book my little sister got me for my birthday is called First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This was one of my favorite mysteries to come out at 24, so this is actually going to be a reread once I get to it because I've already read it at this point. And she got me a physical because she knows how much I talk about this and love this one, so that was really sweet that she listened. You know, it came with like a cute note and stuff. I won't be showing it to you, but I feel like again it ties the whole theme in together. She really slayed with the gifts this year, and this one also I'm happy to have a copy of because again for some reason I've been craving a reread, so I'll be going back and doing that because at the moment I didn't give it 5 stars, but looking back it definitely is a 5-star book in my opinion because of how much I think about it, which is why when I do my reread you will see this getting 5 stars and that'll be soon enough. So I have my copy waiting for me until then, and this is the next book. Now for my last stack of books. Can you believe it, already 20 minutes into the rough copy of this video, whatever, I'm on my last stack, which is so weird because I believe last year's video was like about 50 minutes of footage and I still was struggling to get through them and I wasn't even able to talk in detail. I was trying to rush it because there were so many books and I didn't want to bore you guys out, but here we are. I'm already nearly done with the books and I was able to give the full in-depth thoughts I had about each book to kind of document and look back on one day in the future, so I feel like perfect video already. The next book I have for this video is called Run by Blake Crouch. Now this one was the first book I gave 5 stars this year and I feel like it's a perfect one because it's almost like a survival apocalyptic book and I feel like I read it in the span of only a couple days on Kindle and had the best time ever, so I needed my own physical. At this point, do keep in mind this is like the bigger copy or whatever. There is like a smaller one published, but I don't really mind because at that that point I was getting it, saw it, and I figured I had to have it, and so here we are. Again, I really loved reading this book and I can't wait to like maybe one day go back and reread and hype over it again, because again, it's one of the best like fast-paced adrenaline rushing thrillers that actually leads to somewhere, and I had a good time with this one. This is definitely one of Blake Crouch, the author's like older written books, but I think it was like republished towards the end of last year, which is why it caught my eye for the first time, and I'm happy it did because it was the best time ever. I do believe we were like Christmas shopping or something like that last year when I saw it in the bookstore for the first time, read the summary and was like instantly attracted, but because I didn't have the time last year at that point, because I was doing bookmas and I also was going through like exams and then I had a wedding to attend and stuff, lots was going down, I didn't really end up getting it. But then again, I'm so happy I got to it in Jan of this year, because I got a 5-star in the very first month, already a great sign of a great year. And it was a good one, and at this point I do have my physical anyway, so I don't have like a lot of regrets because it was perfect. It's kind of short too, so it's easy to binge, and it was a great one. Oh, and I forgot to say it, but I'm gonna go reread again at some point. I feel like all of these books, the ones I've already read and got copies of for myself for one day in the future, I will go back and reread, because that's the whole reason I bought the copies. Not just to keep them up on my shelf and look at them from time to time because they're my favorite books, because they're like the crown jewels of my reading career, but because, listen, I have to go back one day. They're all so good. They all hold like a piece of my heart. And so it just makes sense to have them there one day as backup in case like the entire world like comes to an end or whatever, like it happened in this book, and the Kindle doesn't work anymore or something, and suddenly I have to revert back to physicals, because then I have backups of all my physicals, of all the ones I've truly ever loved. And so I have no regrets, because now I'm building a library of love, the ones I specifically want, and I feel like that's already like a great curation of like good taste and everything that comes with it, because it's my own. And so again, putting a piece of my soul into something I truly enjoy, and I'm happy about it. Now next up, do not yell at me, I have another book that gets added to my TBR because I haven't actually gone ahead and read it at this point. I think looking down, this is the last book I'm adding to my TBR that I haven't read but I wanted a copy of, and that's the new Emily Henry book of this year. It's called Great Big Beautiful Life. Keep in mind, I haven't seen great things about it online, but at the same time, she is still my favorite author, and I feel like every year, despite the fact that I am on some sort of book restriction that I'm trying to internally maintain, but at the same time at this point is becoming like second nature or whatever, I still will go back and every single time purchase a new book when she comes out with it, with her and Abby Jimenez, simply because I feel like they're such good authors in my opinion that even if their books kind of do not end up hitting, which rarely happens, because the lowest I've given both of them is like 4 stars, and that's still great. I feel like I still want like a copy to look back on, because I feel like when you have like something that's a favorite, even if it doesn't hit, you're still gonna want to enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so I have my copy, which I will be getting to in a part 2 of the Emily Henry books video soon, so you will see me with it then. But until then, yeah, I'm so happy I got this, because in my country, I do believe like the first week it came out and stuff, it was sold out. It was like a little rat race trying to find it and get a copy, and so I got mine finally. I'm so happy it came back in stock, just enough time for me to go pick it up before it's gone again. And so I have no regrets, even though I probably will get it on Kindle at some point when I'm reading. I don't really mind, because I have a physical to look back on again, and I feel like there's nothing that could possibly harm you about a good Emily Henry book, because I feel like, again, during the summertime when I love going back to my physicals as well, if you're just sitting out laying in the sun or whatever, always fun to have one of these on hand to look back on and to have a fun good time with, to kind of create memories, which is why this is there. It does get added to my TBR, but I have no regrets, because again, I know I'm getting to this soon, so it's like not gonna be on there for long, and so I don't really have any fears. And the cover is cute, so you cannot blame me. It adds to my collection and it completes the Emily Henry set. Next up, I have The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. This book I read last year during Christmas time, and I really ended up enjoying it. I didn't think I would enjoy it the way I did, but apparently I did, because I loved every second. I connected with these characters. Ethan in this, I keep comparing him, or every time I read it and I speak about it or whatever, I keep saying that when I marry a man one day, I hope he turns out like Ethan, because like, this is one of the best books ever. This man is so husband material. I feel like this is the perfect balance between spy stuff, so like adventure mystery, but then there's also like rom-cominess with like a background of winter and Christmas, so it keeps you entertained throughout December. And I bought this just in time now for my reread of it in a week or so, because again, this is like one of the best holiday books I've ever read, and I feel like at this point I want to make it a tradition of going back to it every single year. And so I was preparing in advance, and because I've already read it, it doesn't add to my TBR of books I haven't read, which is why I'll get to it soon. But again, I don't have any qualms, because this is one of my favorite like winter romances ever, and now that I have a copy, I know I'm going to be locked in with my reread soon. And so already so happy with it. So happy with this cover too, because it's like so cute. Look at it. It's better than the other cover in my opinion, and so I'm happy I got this one. But yeah, this is the next one I ended up buying. Now for the last stack of books, I have been thinking about these lately, which is why I actually bought them in the span of this week specifically. All the rest of these books that you saw were in the span of this entire year, but the last 4 I have to show you, I bought them towards the end of this weekend and now the first couple days of the week. The first one being What You're Looking For is in the library. Again, I read this for the first time last year and had the best time ever. I don't think I've connected with a book the way I connected with this one, because I feel like it's definitely short stories, because there's 5 of them in this like full-length book, but they all connect somehow and they all relate back to how kind of connecting with the library is changing these people's lives and kind of making them live their fullest, and also giving you a message at the same time in the story that you can incorporate into your own life. And you know, looking back, this was one of my favorite reads of last year. I don't know why I didn't buy a copy immediately, but now because I want to reread again, I ended up getting a copy. And this is also a great one to look at, because I feel like this kind of message this book gives you shows you that literature like this still exists out there, and this is the whole point of reading, to actually read and find books like this and have a good time, which is why I have my physical here. Can't wait to get to this. This is also a hardcover, because at this point I wasn't able to find paperback anywhere, so I don't really mind because I think it's cute either way, and I'm really happy with my purchase. Like, look at the art on the back, it's so cute. You cannot beat this. But this is what I have next to show you. Now, the next book I ended up getting is called Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Again, this time of the year, especially since like fall, I've been craving a reread, because I read this for the first time as one of the first fantasy books I read getting into fantasy last year. But because this is one you really have to stick with and have patience and kind of understand the plotline, because it is a deeper and more heavier in terms of literary sense book to get into. I feel like the first time I read it, it didn't really impact me and hit me as hard as it probably could have. And again, these days I've been thinking a lot about this one and the things that specifically happen in it, because by the end of it, I was a little done with this book, I won't even lie. But the ending, the way it ends off and the way everything's resolved, and there's like a bunch of shit going down, but like plot twists and things you wouldn't expect. I truly feel like this is one of the books wherein you have to go with an open mind and trust the process, which is not what I did the first time around. I already started judging it from the first couple chapters, because at that point, do keep in mind, I wasn't reading a lot of fantasy, I wasn't used to the world and stuff, and so going into this as my first fantasy wasn't great as a beginner fantasy reader. But now that I've read so much more, I do want to try a reread and see how that hits me now, because I cannot stop thinking about this book. And I didn't enjoy it the first time around to the extent that I could have enjoyed it if I read this at this point in my reading journey, because I feel like now it's perfect for my taste. So I do know that going back, it'll definitely be like a 4.5, 5 star. And so I wanted a copy. Before anyone asks, I didn't get a copy of the second book in the series, because that one I know I definitely didn't enjoy. I feel like that one wasn't great in like execution and direction and stuff. So we will see how the trilogy turns out to me when like the third book comes out next year. But until then, I do have this book to go back and reread and kind of prepare for the trilogy, because I feel like I'll go reread this. I'll read a spoiler review of the second one, because I don't have it in me to reread that, unless, you know, tables turn and suddenly I figure that, okay, I'm happy with this one, maybe I'll give that one another try, and then I'll go into the third book kind of fully prepared. But yeah, this is for the ideas I've got, because again, already read this, I can't wait to reread, because this is a great one again for this time of the year, because I feel like it truly also encapsulates the kind of feeling you get at this time of the year, and it's kind of like dark academia, so like best vibes or whatever. And so I'll be doing my reread soon, which is why I got it again, to kind of prepare for the reread. But yeah, here we are, so happy with it, so happy with the shiny cover, like you can't beat that, and I'll get to it soon. So I have no regrets, because again, I've already read it. This just adds to when I want to go back and reread it at some point, and because it's a great one to have on my shelf, I believe, because this is again one of the best books I've read looking back. I just didn't realize it in the moment. And so maybe one day when I'm like passing on all these books to my kids at some point, they can go back and appreciate all this literature, because it was so fun to read about, and you know, kind of spread the joy and love for reading, because this is such a great book. Second last book I have to show you in the haul, this one's called The Love of My Afterlife. I actually recently read this, I think in the month of November, and I gave it 5 stars, because I think you just cannot read this book and not give it 5 stars. In my opinion, it's perfect. At this point, at the very moment actually, one of my best friends is reading it, because I actually was able to talk her into it, and she's also having the best time. She hasn't finished and I don't know her rating yet, so I can't update you on that. But I will say, with the kind of updates I'm getting every day in the form of like text and stuff from her, it's all great signs, which is why, again, so happy I got my copy. I wasn't holding off or anything, it's just I read it around November time, and then I got busy recording for Bookmas and like finishing off all these things for like exams and college work, which is why I didn't really buy it as soon as I finished it. But again, looking back, this is one of the timeless books wherein it's always going to be a 5-star regardless of when I buy it or when I look back and go back to it, which is why now that my friend was reading it and getting excited about her read about it was kind of hyping me back into picking up the story again, even though I read it only a month ago. I feel like I needed my copy for the reread, which is why here we are. I feel like any book I give 5 stars and has potential to be a reread are the only ones I'm usually buying these days, which is why I had to go get this again, and I'm so happy I did because the cover, shiny, and I'm attracted to shiny things like a sparrow, so here we are. It's cute, it's a great one to have, and because she's loving her read of it now and kind of spreading that love, I feel like again I'm so hyped up to go back into the story and kind of re-explore it again because it was the best time ever. And if you want a book that gives you 2000s rom-com vibes, but it's like a romance that also kind of makes you see, I guess, the small joys of life, I feel like this is perfect because again, best book ever, got me out of my reading slump, made me feel literally everything, and it was really fun. So here we are, this is the second last book, and now for the final book I ended up buying this year. It actually came in the mail, I think yesterday or something like that, which is just in time for this vlog. This one's called Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Again, I have a different Abby book I showed you earlier, and so this just goes to say I enjoyed my read of this a lot. I think I read it, I think towards the end of summertime or whatever this year, and I wasn't on vacation at that point. I was very much at home and suffering with college, which is why I don't know if I had like the best time reading it at that point, because I feel like if I definitely read it under like different circumstances while I was on vacation, the way it was intended or whatever, I definitely would have enjoyed it better, but because of other circumstances and stuff, I didn't. So at the moment at least, I feel like looking back, this was definitely 5 stars. I just didn't realize it in the moment, but because of how much I think about this, and I kid you not, I think about these characters and stuff that happened every single day. I can't wait to go back and read it, especially over the summertime. I'm saving it, so I have a copy waiting for me until then, but until then I also have a beautiful cover that matches up with the other heavy books I have in my collection, and it's great because I feel like until I go back and give myself the privilege of rereading this amazing book, I feel like I can always slip through and see the fun scenes I remember and kind of look back on stuff I enjoyed about it, because again, this is one of the best romances that I have read this year that kind of shows you emotional maturity in a book, because I feel like all the books these days, they're all just romance, not necessarily for the sake of it, but they also just feel like romance for the sake of romance, not necessarily because the characters are truly in love, but because it's just a book that's written to kind of get you to buy into it, I feel like. And I'm not trying to insult or call out anybody here. It's just that for me personally, romance doesn't hit the way it used to, because I feel like back when I was like reading romance for the first time and reading all these like god tier books, looking back at the point, they were all emotionally mature, almost adult romances wherein it feels like the characters are actually in love and they're trying to make it work, and stupid things like miscommunication or like third act conflicts for drama aren't thrown in. And I feel like this definitely gives those vibes. I feel like the very first books I read going back into reading were some of my favorites because that was the kind of tangent I wanted to read about, but then again, as I kept reading or whatever, strayed away from them, wasn't able to find similar books, and so romance definitely kind of died down for me because it wasn't hitting the way those used to. But then this again reminds me of those kind, because it's like a 2000s rom-com movie. You can feel the love, you can feel the yearning, you can feel everything about these characters that makes you believe that they're soulmates made from heaven or whatever. And so again, it's a great one to have on my haul or whatever, to have on my physical shelf to look back on, because firstly, cute cover, you cannot fault it. I feel like all her covers are so cute. She actually slays when she her book every single year, but at the same time, the internal story is also so moving and touching that needed to have it, and I'm so happy I do, because this made me feel every single emotion. I just don't know why I didn't realize in the moment that it was 5 stars, because looking back it definitely is, considering how much I think about them. And so got my physical, preparing for my reread like every other book I spoke about, because at this point if I have a physical, it means I'm probably just gonna go back and reread at some point, which is why it's on here in this haul in the first place. But yeah, this is the last one I ended up buying so far this year. I don't know if I'll be buying any more. My family will definitely be getting me some for Christmas at this point, I do believe, so I won't be able to show you what I have at that point or whatever. Maybe I will in a different video, but that kind of concludes the haul of the books I bought so far at this point in this year, considering that we're like a third of the way through December. I don't really think I'll be buying more books for myself specifically, so these are it. That's it for the haul. And I actually went back and counted already because I wanted to give you some stats, and I showed you 18 books I bought in this video, because I bought 18 books throughout the year of 2025. So proud of myself to have stuck to the goal and kind of ingrained it to the point where now I truly question and try to understand if I really need it or if it's just an in-moment kind of want to buy splurge, and I feel like I'm definitely being more intentional with my purchases, which is why we have 18, and I'm really happy about that. Out of which 12 books I actually bought for myself to look back on as rereads and stuff, because they were great or 5-star in the moment, or something that looking back on truly made me feel such intense feelings that I want to go back and feel them again, because these books in my head are the best literature can offer, which is why I wanted them. Now, out of those 18, because these were 12, there are 6 others that get added to my TBR, which is not bad because I'll be getting to them in the future, or in the near future, I guess you can say, which is also great. But all I want to say is I added only 6 books to my TBR this year, which feels, again, incredible pairing it to last year me, which again, I won't fault her because that was a great time too. It's just that this year I added only 6 to my TBR. I feel so good about myself because I can tackle them in no time, and I will. But until then, not a lot has been added to my TBR in terms of going back to having to read these books, which is why here we are, happy with my haul this time around. And yeah, I'm so happy I don't have to come and ask you all to yell at me in the comments to kind of curb these buying impulses, because at this point, I'm actually kind of enjoying the fact that I'm only intentionally buying the books I actually want. And so my shelf is now becoming a curation of only the things I've ever loved. And I don't know, there's just something poetic about that, which is why here we are. Great haul to show you guys, great fun to kind of speak about each book. And so hopefully you guys had a fun time coming along with me, despite the fact that it's not as many as last year, because I feel like it probably isn't going to be as entertaining as last year's vlog was. But at the same time, I feel like this one's more made from love and more great because I'm actually proud of myself and my purchases this year, which is why here we are. This is going to be the vlog that hopefully de-influences you from buying a lot of books. Just stick to the ones you actually love and want to get. But if you're like a physical book reader, do what you want. It's your life. I cannot stop you. But until then, yeah, this is the vlog where I'm actually proud about my buying purchases at once. So here we are. Now that we've finished going through all of them, I feel like at this point, yeah, we've reached the end of the vlog, because I forgot to say it in the midst of being so happy about myself and being so happy for myself. But I feel like a big haul does not necessarily equate stuff you actually enjoy buying. I feel like if you buy a smaller amount of things and they're still things you actually truly bought with your heart and with your soul, it still impacts you just as hard as a big haul could. And so I'm happy with regardless of whatever amount of books I bought, because they bring me happiness. Does that make sense? And so here we are. And if you guys had a fun time coming along with me, definitely like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know in the comments that you're proud of me for sticking to my goal this year, because I'm so happy I did. So full of joy, and I'm definitely continuing this throughout the new years to come and beyond. But until then, take care, stay safe. I hope to see you guys very, very soon tomorrow, because that's our daily routine for the month of December. And until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day. But because it's the end of the video now, I'm gonna go. So have been yapping for a bit. I'll get some water. And yeah, this was my haul. I'm so happy again. I keep saying it, but I'm actually so happy and so proud. And so here we are. I'm hoping you guys had a fun time too coming along with my purchases of 2025 in terms of books. But yeah, I'm gonna go now because I'm actually tired, and bye.